I am very honored today to introduce to you Ronald Huang. He's a marriage and family therapist in Sydney, Australia. He believes that relationship means everything to a happy, fulfilling life. So he works with individuals, couples, families, and children. Congratulations on having your article published by Authority Magazine. What in your history led you to invest so much importance to relationships?
Well, I think from my own personal experience, I felt like I myself has struggled in relationships and to connect early on just through various circumstances. And part of that was my parents being immigrants.
Mhm,
They came to Sydney from Vietnam, and so we did need to spend a lot of time integrating into a new country
mhm.
and experiences early on in my childhood with primary school and making friends was really difficult. And so I really found the importance of relationships from there. And that's where kind of grew my curiosity and interest in the area.
You talked about in your article about the first time you really felt seen and heard. You were 18 years old.
Hmm.
What was that experience like for you, having never felt that before?
Yeah, it was to me a pivotal moment in my life, I would say, because prior to that, I felt my relationships were very superficial. They
Mhm,
were just based off hobbies or interests. And I even recall there were moments where like my teachers would try to connect with me because they saw that I was so disconnected. They would try to make me laugh and they'll try to get me to play with them. So they noticed that I was disconnected as well. And it wasn't until I was 18 years old where I made a truly deep and close friend, and we had a really deep, meaningful relationship. And that's when I really understood the importance of the quality of relationships and how it shapes the quality of our lives. And I really felt seen from that moment. And it that was I think another moment in my life which really made me realize the importance of relationships and inspires my work.
It sounds like that friendship really brought about an awakening in you
Mm,
of a deeper what it was like to have a deeper connection with another human being.
mm. Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely did. I think that it was a much deeper, more authentic and connected relationship that I recall with that particular friend. And it was unlike anything that I had previously experienced from
Mhm.
other people, even from family back then. Yeah, it was very meaningful to me.
Very life altering.
Mm.
You made the statement that you believe that compatibility is a myth.
Mhm.
What did you mean by that?
I think that a lot of people have this idea that they need to find the perfect partner and find love. But I believe that love is not found, but love is made. And that rather than looking for compatibility in our perfect partner, I do believe that when we look for a partner or when we find a partner, we also just have a set of differences with our partner, and that it's really about negotiating those differences and negotiating the problems within a relationship, and to find your perfect partner, to find exact compatibility is a myth. For me, it's really about being complementary,
Mhm.
which is a process of not finding the exact same missing puzzle piece,
Mhm.
but looking to become and co-create a relationship.
I love the word co-create, and I really love and agree with you that feelings of love is the result of behavior, certain behaviors, and or respectful behaviors. You take
Mm.
respect out of the relationship, the feelings of love are probably going to disappear.
Mm.
You also stated that it isn't conflict that drives people apart, but the underlying polarization. Describe that a little bit further.
Yeah, for me, polarization is the process when you split ambivalence and each partner takes opposing sides.
Mhm.
And the imagery that I have in my head is sort of like a tug of war, where one partner is pulling and trying to convince the other person that their position and their view is the right one. And
Mhm.
then it just becomes a power struggle between two people where, and I think that this transcends a lot of the topics that couples argue about. And it's more about the process of how couples argue as opposed to the actual content of what couples are arguing about. And so polarization is just that, taking the two opposite sides and just refusing to budge. And when one person is pulling, then the other person wants to dig their heels in further, and then you get more into a loop of trying to convince each other and having escalated conflicts that way. Whereas I think the solution would be to put down the rope, and put the tug of war to the side and acknowledge that there may be perhaps a difference in perspective.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's what I teach in my coaching business as well. You described the speaker listening technique. Describe it or model it the way you would if you were teaching a couple.
Yeah, sure. So with the speaker listener technique, I get couples, one person is the speaker, the other person is the listener. And the speaker's role is just to speak from their own perspective, using I statements, avoiding
Mhm.
any criticism or blame. And whilst the listener, their role is just to understand, just to listen to understand. And this can be through paraphrasing what the speaker has said, mirroring, and just capturing the content and emotion, and perhaps asking open questions to help support the speaker to unpack things, but
Mhm.
also avoiding any judgment or problem solving, defensiveness, and minimizing. And once the speaker feels fully understood, then they kind of switch roles.
Do you find that your clients have a hard time with the listening role? It's like they have to put their agenda aside.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's part of the difficulty is putting one's agenda inside and listening to understand rather than listening to respond, I
Yes.
say. And I think that some of those partners who struggle to listen, they believe that by listening, they're kind of complying and they're
Mhm.
accepting that what their partner says is the truth. And that's why
Mhm.
they don't want to listen. They want to step in and try to convince their partner about their truth. But I think that when they afford their partner that the respect and opportunity to be heard, then they will get that in return.
And that comes about with the experience. You coach them through the experience so that they find out what it's like to listen, first of all, but then also to be heard by their partner. So there's
Mm.
only one person speaking at a time instead of trying to speak over each other.
Mhm.
You mentioned that death to a relationship is complacency.
Mhm.
Where did you learn that? How do you know that?
I think I know that just through working with my clients. I think
Mhm.
that my clients are probably my greatest teacher. They teach me more about
Yes.
relationships than I learned from textbooks or training or my
Uh-huh.
past degrees or whatever. But yeah, I do believe that complacency is a relationship killer, where complacency is like bringing the best part of you to work or out with friends and bringing the leftovers home, or taking care more of the car than you do the relationship. And it's,
You,
yeah, taking
I
the
really love what you said, that you put your best foot out there in the world and you give the leftovers when you come home. I've never heard it described that way, but it's a great way of describing it.
Mhm, mhm.
So how do you coach a couple to uh, penetrate the wall of complacency?
Hmm. I think part of that is having them understand how they got there in the first place,
Mhm,
which normally is understanding that they've just been focusing on doing or ticking the boxes of relationships, the milestones of relationship.
mhm.
Don't get me wrong, they're important, getting married, first kiss, having kids, buying your first house together, all that stuff. They're really big things and important things. It's the space in between, the minor everyday interactions, which actually make up for the majority of a relationship. And that's where complacency comes in, is where we're not looking to connect with our partner on a day-to-day. We're just looking to make things work in terms of getting the relationship checklist ticked off. And just simply understanding that for some couples, and understanding that relationships need to be nurtured, need to be grown. And the question I like to ask couples is, well, what do you think happens when you buy your dream house and do nothing to maintain it?
Mhm.
Couples will say, it becomes ruined, it deteriorates. And what do the people inside want to do? They want to find a new house.
Yes.
And so, and that's the exact same with relationships.
What a great analogy. I've never heard that one before, but it is very descriptive and something we all can understand.
Mm,
You considered yourself to be a wounded healer.
mm,
And, many of us who end up in this profession get here via being wounded
mm,
and trying to find answers for ourselves.
mm.
So is that what you would say brought you to this profession, is looking for answers for your own wounds?
Yeah, I think it is, definitely. I don't think that I am perfect in any way. And in fact, I think I struggle with relationships in a lot of ways myself. And so that is what brought me in to understand myself more than anything, and to be able to help other people, hopefully along in that similar or same journey.
I want to tell you how much I admire, first of all, how I'm perceiving that you're quite young and you've learned a lot and gained a lot of wisdom, and you've not only gained it for yourself, but you're passing it on to others. And I
Mm.
have a lot of respect for you, Ronald. What do you think your wife would name as your greatest quality in your own marriage?
I think she would probably say my patience.
Mhm.
And I mean, she has told me this directly, so I kind of know, and we've
Okay.
had similar
Okay.
conversations. But she would say that I'm quite calm and patient. And that's something that she uh, she is more free flowing and more energetic and
Mhm.
enthusiastic about things. And so we complement each other in that way.
Mhm.
It could also be seen as a problem and an issue if we're not on the same level, but we complement each other. We kind of outsource our weaknesses and outsource our strengths to each other. And I think that's what she enjoys about me personally. Yeah.
So perhaps she brings more energy and gregariousness to relationship, and you complement that with your calm patience.
Exactly.
I'll mention to whoever is watching this video that if you'd like to get in touch with Ronald, or you know someone in Sydney, Australia that might be interested in contacting Ronald, you can find him at his website, Ronald Huang. I'm going to spell Hoang, RonaldHuang.com. Ronald, thank you so much for joining me here today. And I just appreciate the work you're doing, and I'll love doing anything I can to support you and support your work.
Thank you, Nancy. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.